Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that I it literally would have just been like, nobody. Like half the time. Okay. That's good.
5, 4, 3. Thank you again for joining us this evening. We're excited to begin our City Council counts. So this time I'd like to please welcome our candidates for Lake Havasu City Council: Jenny Koch, Taylor Harrison, Michelle Lynn, Terry Parcells, Sam Scarmato, Neil Tinsley, and Kimberly Zannon. Welcome them all on the stage, please. Thank you.
Tonight the theme will be budget, policy, infrastructure, and service delivery. Answer limit, 45 seconds per candidate, times 7 candidates.
Okay, and to keep this easy, since we have so many people at the desk, we're going to start here. We'll go that way and then reverse it. We're going to start with introductions. We won't forget that this time. So let's start with Jenny Koch, and we'll go down the line from there.
Take the whole thing, because it's not going to want to come out. Good evening. Thank you all for being here this evening. My name is Jenny Koch. I'm a current Lake Havasu City Council member. I moved here 25 years ago from Nebraska. I too escaped the cold weather and decided that when I started my life and my career raising my daughter, it wasn't going to be in the Midwest. So I packed up, my husband and I and our daughter, and we relocated to Lake Havasu City. I started my career here with the Chamber of Commerce, and I was fortunate enough to spend 15 years there before I went to work at the hospital. I was fortunate I got to work with the business community, and now I get to work in our hospital recruiting physicians to help care for our community. I hope you give me the opportunity to serve you for another term so we can finish the great things we have going on. Please vote for Jenny Koch on July 21st. Thank you.
All right, good evening. I'm Taylor Harrison. I actually moved to Lake Havasu City in 2009 from a small town in Wisconsin. I'm a Lake Havasu High School graduate. I also graduated from ASU Lake Havasu in 2016. Since then, we started our small local family business, and I got super involved in the community. I started serving as a board member for our Rotary Club here in Lake Havasu City. I served as past president. I currently serve as executive director for the Balloon Festival. I'm vice president of downtown Havasu. So as you can see, I've done a lot of different community things. My path to more community service and my path to running for city council didn't start just a couple months ago. It started 6 years ago. So now I can see Havasu from high school graduate, college graduate, business owner, but my why now? I started my family. My son's now 15 months old, and so now I can serve on the city council. Thank you, Taylor Harrison.
Hi, Michelle Lynn. I did write a little speech here on the way here, but I decided I'm going to go off the cuff here. This will be my 4th term running for this seat. My husband and I moved here in 2000. We own and operate Lynn's Little China. We have 5 children. 3 of them are still here, and they work with us at the restaurant. I was a first grade school teacher this year. Unfortunately, the school that I work at is closing, so I'm going to commit my time this year and hopefully still serving you, serving my family, and serving our restaurant. I enjoy serving this community. I do it with my heart, and I just hope that you all see that in my voting record has proven that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Neil Tinsley. I was born and raised right here in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. I love this town passionately. I moved away for about 10 years, went to Vegas to make something of myself. Unfortunately, back then we didn't really have great paying jobs. One of my goals is to change that here, bring industry. I have 6 kids, 2 businesses. I own Lakeside Towing and Clean Concepts. I'm very invested in the city, and I hope to earn your guys' votes. I really would like to make this town keep its grassroots and keep on track to keeping it the special little city I always grew up in. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Terry Parcells. I've lived here going on 17 years. I have 47 years experience in the legal field, protecting the rights of citizens. I'm an expert civil litigation trial paralegal. I'm an Arizona Supreme Court certified legal document preparer, Arizona Notary Public, Arizona Notary Signing Agent, ordained minister. I'm a successful business owner. I'm a president, CEO of A Plus Mineral and Business Center here in town. As my professional positions, I'm required to undergo annual criminal background checks, and I do continuing legal education, and I'm here before you applying for a job. One of the first things I will do is I will look at the rules and regulations on what I am allowed to do as city council. I will always follow the rules, and I will be ready to go to work for you. I will bring civility, professionalism, respect, and honor to the table of city council. I'm Terry Parcells, and I'm asking for your vote. I want to work for you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Zandon. I have recently just came here in 2021 of January, but in those years I immediately got involved in our community because I have a nephew who is a police officer here that's raising his family, and my daughter is raising her family here. So this community means more to me than most. On top of it, I jumped in. I was the CASA coordinator for Mojave County, where I worked with our foster care families here. I built that program, which is what made me also run for State Senate in 2024, because I was trying to get the voice out of what's going on with our families. On top of it, I have worked in all the courts and different systems, where I work with Quality of Life Court, which is helping base and bring our community and bring our people that are struggling and suffering to higher product. On top of it, I am on the board of Impact 928, where we're bringing our first foster care home here, and I'm the founder of Empowering Her House, which is going to be working with our transition families. And on top of it, I work for Closed Closet. So I'm already engaged in our community, trying to build this community and making it stronger. So I've already done the job. Thank you.
Most of you know me anyway. I found that out in the hallway. I'm Sam Scamardo. I moved here February 9th. I was here 38 years. 30 years ago, I served under city council and vice mayor for 2.5 terms. So I have a lot of experience in the city here. I built a business, a large Sam's Guns over on McCullough, and sold it just recently. So I'm retired, and I got to find something to agitate people with. So, anyway. I was in charge of several projects here. You did, just for instance, and we can elaborate on it later on. You can talk to me in the hallway, because I could talk about an hour on that. City Hall was originally going to be $10.9 million. I got involved, and we built it for $3.8. Had the keys, paid cash for it. Public Works building, after we cut out the elite gym with the padded floors, we cut it down from $3.3 million to $990,000. The Randy water collector, the mayors were talking about, Mayor Andrews were talking about water collector, and water is an issue here. We don't have an issue with water here. And the Randy water collector was one of the things that I voted on and supported.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. I've worked with him before, folks. All right, question number one. We're going to start at the other end of the table with Mr. Scamardo. 45 seconds to answer. Do you support the current capital improvement plan and general improvement plan? Which projects would you prioritize going forward, and which, if any, would you not support? Sam? Yes, sir.
By and large, I do support the capital improvement project. I worked on several of them when I was on council previous to that, and I was very happy in the efforts and the results of the CIP. And well, the projects, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, I would say. I'm just going to take a pass on that one, because it would take me an hour to answer it.
Were you having battery issues there? No?
Who, me? No.
Okay.
Plus, I probably don't even need one of these.
Right. Kim's hand, do you need the question repeated?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you support the current capital improvement plan and general improvement plan? Which projects would you prioritize going forward, and which, if any, would you not support?
So I do approve of it, just because as we keep going forward, I'm not going to go look back at what they've already decided to do. Now we need to look forward on what we can change. One of the biggest things I will be supporting and trying to improve is our public safety with our police officers and our fire stations and so forth. We used to be in Havasu, the top paid in our police department. Now Bullhead is topping us. So we need to get our level back up there because we have so many of our officers leaving because of that. So one of the big things I'll be working on is working on getting our public safety back to order and protecting our citizens by protecting our public safety. So I do approve of it just because these are situations that we can't change right now. So the only thing I can do is once I'm in there, make better and bigger decisions, and those are some of the things I'll do.
Terry Parcells?
Yes, Terry Parcells here, and I do concur. We can't turn the hands behind us. We have to go forward. One thing I will say as far as the budget items go, I do not appreciate seeing items continuously being pushed forward. A good example is the pool. I think that our community input is the most important thing that City Council has to listen to. We're supposed to we're supposed to have our ears open to you and be your voice. For example, there's been a pool on the budget for quite a while, and I think it just recently got pushed to 2029. I know that there's the splash pad. Bottom line is, I'm here to stay. My kids live here. My grandkids live here. I will always vote for almost anything and everything that has to do with increasing activities for the people that live here full time and for our youths. I thank you very much. I'm Terry Parcells.
Neil Tinsley?
So I agree, we have to keep going with our CIP. My main focus on pushing forward with it is to make sure it's actually done on time and on budget. No change orders, no nothing like that. We need to start making everybody accountable for what they propose to us. So that's my main thing.
I did not support the CIP budget, and it was not because of any specific project. However, I will say that as a city, our main priority should be our roads and our infrastructure, our water, and our public safety. And so I'm very excited for Fire Station 7. I just think that as we're going forward on CIP projects, we need to make sure that we prioritize certain needs over wants. Thank you.
Taylor Harrison?
All right, I guess we'll stick with this microphone so we don't have to carry the log around. All right, so for the CIP and budget, I do support the approved budget. That being said, that doesn't mean I agree with every single part of it. See, a budget is comprised of things that it's a collaboration of a group of people that came together and they figured out this budget based on needs and importance, and they all worked together to come up with something. One thing that I like is the idea, or actually the reality, that the fire department is going to happen. We've needed that for quite some time, and now we're getting it. These things should be thought out. So, as referenced previously, planned growth and planned future makes sense. So there are some things like a parks plan that's happening currently. It takes a while for the plan to happen, but when we get that, that'll help us make educated decisions for our future and future years. Thank you.
Thank you. So I did support the CIP budget. The CIP is planned out for over the next 5 years. These are one-time expenditures that we do to improve the community. One thing that I'm very proud of in my time on council is we haven't had any debt financing for any of these projects. These projects are paid for. So when we bring a CIP budget, it's not something that comes to us one time. These are things that we talk about at the planning retreat in January. We talk about our priorities as a council. We have those discussions. The staff takes those discussions and they go back and they start prioritizing the CIP budget. And that means things get moved around from time to time. But with that, they bring us a capital improvement project budget that we can have that is going to be with zero debt financing. And I'm proud of that. Can you keep it to 1 mic per table, please, so I can keep track of it. 1 mic per table, thank you. It's just so I can keep track of it easier, and then Michelle, just pick whichever one you want.
Keep things entertaining here. We're going to start with Taylor Harrison this time, and we'll go that way and come back to Jim. So, this question is, how should the council fund city services so we maintain a high level of service and stay competitive recruiting for essential jobs?
All right, there was a lot to that question, thank you. So, how should the city fund projects? Look, we have to prioritize our citizens. We don't just have to prioritize folks that come out here on the weekends. We need to prioritize the folks that live here every day. So, what does that mean? Well, that means taking care of our roads and infrastructure, as alluded to. That means taking care of our water. That means activities for our families. So, one thing that came up in that budget was a splash pad. And a lot of people supported a splash pad, and some people didn't quite support the needs of a splash pad right now. And that's where those plans are important. So I mentioned plans before. Having a planned idea, not just a thought or somebody that wants something, but let's use real data. It's 2026. We can use real data to plan properly for our future.
Can you repeat that question? Because there was a different question asked.
How should the council fund city services so we maintain a high level of service and stay competitive recruiting for essential jobs?
How should we fund essential services?
City services.
Okay, so are we talking like public safety, these type of jobs? Because I'm not quite sure with this question, but I think that the city right now does a very good job with recruiting the staff that we have and retaining them. I do think that we do have to be competitive with the cities that are surrounding us to make sure that they can stay here, because we do have a different level of living here with our housing. So I believe that, if I'm getting the question correctly, it's continually supporting the employees that we do have and working with other organizations, which that's a chamber or the MCC or the colleges here, and recruiting and retaining more employees here. Thank you.
And I think the heart of the question is, how can the city stay competitive to keep people? How do we get people to work for the city? So.
Okay, I was having a little bit of trouble hearing you. I got tinnitus. So, how can the city stay competitive? My main goal is to bring more industry here, and which would generate more tax revenue, which means we could actually afford to pay people more too. But I do think that we need to be competitive, especially with our law enforcement, firefighters, and stuff like that. There's a lot of, we don't have great retention because a lot of other places we pay more, and the cost of living is less. So I do think we need to stay competitive to keep our law enforcement and public safety top priority. Thank you.
Hi there, Terry Parcells here, and I think we need to be clear about something on what City Council is responsible for doing, and it is for setting our local laws, it's for approving a budget, and it's for overseeing the city services and departments. So, insofar as the question goes with how do we fund the city services, funding means collecting revenue, collecting money. If we're looking for other ideas on supplementing the monies that we receive, I personally would like to do a line-by-line examination of the relevant records. But one thing that kind of comes real quick to our mind, and I don't mean any disrespect for this, but we have a lot of events on Main Street. And most of the vendors that are taking up all of Main Street are out-of-towners. They're not our local people, they're not making money, they're making money from out of state. So I query whether they have a TPT license and paying their sales taxes to the city as revenue. Just one thing on my mind.
Okay, back to what we're talking about. So we need to bring better revenue into our community, right? So the better revenue, then we can pay our employees higher amounts. For instance, like I was saying with our police department, they're being paid less than what Bullhead is paid. So how do we do that? We need to bring the right revenue in here. And the revenue is coming from organizations and businesses that we can place outside of the community because we love our small businesses. We want to keep our town small, but there's locations outside of this community where we can bring bigger revenue. Bringing revenue in brings higher pay to our employees, our city employees, especially our police officer, our fire department. We need to get that revenue up so that they can get paid higher. And if we do that, then we keep our property taxes. Because most of us, I own a home, I don't want my property taxes going up, but the other way, we have to bring the revenue up. That's the only way we can pay people a higher amount of money.
Could you repeat that question, Brandon?
I will. I'm going to try and keep it a little simpler. How can the city maintain a high level of service and stay competitive to recruit for essential jobs?
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'll try my damnedest to answer that. Are you talking about sales of property taxes?
I think you're talking about the services provided by the city, the amenities.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I think we have a phenomenal fire department and police department right here, and public works is good too. I'm a little upset, actually, and this is a good question for you to ask. I got a call yesterday from the front desk, and they're telling me that I owed them for 2 months of water bill on a building that I haven't owned in 7 months. And basically, the lady I spoke to said, it's not my problem. You just take care of it, or we're going to put you in collections. And I said, I've never been in collections in my life. I don't appreciate the snide, and that's what it was, snide, dismissive attitude I got from the customer service desk. So, we might improve that a little bit. And this is the truth, it's the gospel truth. I hand on a Bible.
Thank you for the question. So retention and recruitment is right up my alley for my job at the hospital, and it's not just the city. We have issues all across the board. But our city has gotten very creative in the last few years. They've implemented a supervisor excellence academy so we can grow from within and utilize the people that we have within the city already and grow them up so that when our people who've been there for a long time, they can share that knowledge, and then when they leave and retire, can pass that down and we can grow our own. We've also implemented some leadership programs. Our human resources department has gotten very creative and done some wonderful things. The police department has also implemented a gap position so that when kids are interested in law enforcement between the time of graduation and when they turn 21 and they can hire them, they can give them a job to keep them in the department.
We're going to get Taylor Harrison about 30 more seconds. I feel like the question was not clear at first, and we clarified that we didn't give you a shot to answer that question.
First of all, thank you, because I was going to take part of my time on the next question to do this. So, now that I understand the question, Brendan, thank you for the clarification. The question is more geared to how can the city help retain and attract more individuals to work? And what we can do, there's apprenticeship programs, there's youth programs that we can grow our youth internally and help keep them here. Much easier to cultivate that than recruit to Havasu. So keeping more of that. Some other things I wrote down here. One thing that's really important, I was talking to somebody and I said, what keeps you here in Havasu? You could go work in Vegas in your career and you could make more money. What keeps you here? And he said, well, my family's here. And I thought, well, his family's here. And he said, yeah, so I could go to a play after I'm done with work for my kids. I could go to soccer practice with them instead of going there. Families, it's important.
Question 3, we're going to... Michelle already answered the question. Right? We're going to start with Michelle on question 3 then. How should the city responsibly plan for new housing and commercial development while addressing long-term water and infrastructure demands? Michelle Lynn? Councilwoman?
One more time.
Okay. How should the city responsibly plan for new housing and commercial development while addressing long-term water and infrastructure demands?
Stick with the general plan. Stick with the general plan. We're not doing these last minute changes, and I think that that's what we need to do to address those issues.
Neil Tinsley?
Can you repeat real quick one more time?
How should the city responsibly plan for new housing and commercial development while addressing long-term water and infrastructure demands?
Okay, so as Michelle said, stick to the general plan, and at the same time, if there's any developers that come about, even with the, not having a rezone, if their projects require extra infrastructure, we should put the burden on them, not the taxpayers.
45 seconds. Terry Parcells.
Okay, so with new housing and commercial development, the city can negotiate with the new developers and all the team players and offer incentives, and definitely when it comes to the infrastructure, the builders should be paying their fair share. I was going to go into the housing problem, and I was going to say that the city doesn't really have much to say about the housing problem. It's a problem throughout the entire country, and there was recently a bill just passed by our governor. Everybody is trying to work on helping the housing crisis, and there is a definite housing crisis. As far as the long-term water goes, I know that there's an agreement that's going to be expiring here, I think at the end of July, and that's why there's a lot of talk about it. We need to all do our part to conserve water no matter what anybody says. Thank you.
So how do we get going on this? First of all, right now, we all need to take a step back and a pause on what we're doing so that we can make sure our infrastructure is going forward stronger. We were just at a city council meeting where right now we're doing 3 miles of water lines. That to me just seemed a little off. Like, why are we doing only 3 miles at a time? So maybe we need to take a step back before we start building in bigger, more homes out here, and take a breather and make sure our infrastructure is prepared and ready for the next steps. I made it very clear, this city's going to grow. I hate to say it, but it's going to grow, like it or not. So we need to take a pause, we need to breathe, we need to make sure our infrastructure is in place before we keep going. And this should have been this should have started a long time ago, where we should have started realizing 2020 is 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, well, technically 6 years ago, where we now have seen the growth. We weren't ready for it, so we need to be ready.
Okay, so you want to make the city happy with the development. Whatever you do, see, I was responsible, or part of, I wouldn't say responsible there, but I was part of both the foothills and the island development. And when the gentleman came in and asked for approval of the zoning on the foothills, he was going to build a school, a firehouse, and 4 parks. And none of which got built. When it came to the island, the island was beautiful, and the property was worth a whole lot of money. But I'll tell you what, he promised all those houses to have little Venetian-like channels in between. So what we need to do is, when these guys want a development and they want to make changes and want differences in the original plans that they had, it needs to be in contract, signed, and agreement, and no more of this ex post facto changes.
Jenny Cook?
Thank you. I'm, much like all the other council members, hopeful that the general plan that we have in front of us now is the best roadmap for us. I know that we were all individually able to meet with the plans people and talk to them, and they had a lot of community outreach. Always want more outreach, but they had community outreach, and we heard what was important, what areas were important, what the community was looking for in the plan, and that's how they prioritized it. It is a roadmap. It's something we need to use. We need to educate the developers and the builders when they come into City Hall or meet with our planners in City Hall, and make sure they understand if they're going to buy a property, how it's zoned, what you're able to do there, and what the ramifications are, and all the things that they're going to be responsible for. But infrastructure, definitely for big projects, is on the developer.
Thank you. One term that I think comes to mind to answer this question is growth should pay for growth. And that's been referenced before. So when a developer wants to come into town, the burden shouldn't fall on the local taxpayers. It should be the investor investing in our city. Aside from that, how do we plan to make sure that we're preserving our roads, our water, all those things? Well, right now we use about 51% of our water allocation. But the bigger thing is we need to protect our allocation as we grow. Havasu is growing, and it's not growing, actually it's growing less than 1% a year. That might surprise some folks. But we're growing in second homes and things like that. And the general plan, coming back to that helps so we're growing with what we all desired and voted on for our future.
Okay, next question. We're starting with Neil Tinsley. We're asking about Main Street Commons. How does Main Street Commons fit into the city's larger downtown strategy? And what should the council do to make sure it supports nearby businesses, events, and community life?
First off, I don't like Main Street Commons. I think it's a huge, that's a perfect prime example of change order abuse, 100%. Like $5 million, right? Like $800 million. I don't agree with it at all. It's a nice gesture, but I think that, the downtown could have used a lot more, beautification than just that. Don't get me wrong, it gathers people. I think that's great and everything, but I think we could have done it for at least half the price. So that's my take on that whole thing. I'm sorry, I kind of caught me off guard, but yeah, thank you.
Terry Parcells, and I have to agree in the comments. I'm not a fan of it either. Anybody can walk down there and tell me how much you love it. I do not love it at all. I think that any money that we spend should have the perspective of bringing some money back to us. And I want to look at more ways of bringing money into our city. I want to look bigger. Yes, we already have the tourists coming, and yes, that's wonderful. But we're growing, and we need to look bigger. Maybe a small little amphitheater. I would love to have a small little concert venue. We need other ways to bring in revenue. Right next door to the Commons, though, the Nomadic, I've heard some good and bad about that. And I just want to say that I started my career in a place that was similar to that. They called it the Fijian Suites back in the 1980s. And I do love that unit there. But the Commons, I think, was a waste of money. We should have put something in there where we could bring some money back.
Hey, we all know that none of us like the common area. I mean, that's just a hot topic. I mean, like, seriously, this is like, it's hilarious that we're even like, that's like, should be an applause. We're all in agreement that some things should have been changed right there. But how do we change that? Like right now, that happened. We can't live in the past. We need to look forward. So how do we look forward? I agree. We need to get up and down on our city main street. We need to go clean it up, like River Dave Johnson was saying. But we need to get that area clean. We need to make that a place where when people do visit us, they look at us with pride. They see this city as a place that they're like, this is a beautiful city. So looking forward, because past, we can't change what happened, we can't rebuild it, we can't take that away. So let's all clap that we didn't like it, but let's move forward and making our city beautiful so other people want to be here.
I wouldn't have spent a nickel on it. When it came up there, it was appraised at $800 and some odd $1,000, and the city paid $1.1 million, $1.2 million. That was step one on a waste of money. And they put a lot of a lunch counter that's $250,000 and a bunch of sunshades that don't shade anything. And a bathroom that they lock up, which, again, I'm trying to figure why we all of a sudden had to put a porta potty in front of the $250,000 or $350,000 bathroom that's built there. I don't know if that's like potties for bums or what. I don't know what the bottom line is. I thought it was a waste of money. Just like the courthouse is a waste of money. It's not really.
We're going to repeat the question just because we're getting through a lot. Main Street Commons, how does it fit into the larger downtown strategy, and what should the council do to make sure it supports downtown businesses, events, and community life?
Thank you. So I was part of one of the original town halls that had 200 people from all across Lake Havasu City and all different kinds of organizations. which is where the Downtown Catalyst project at that time came to fruition. It was a grassroots project. It wasn't a project of the City Council. It came from the citizens. And so did all of the things that came with the park. There were hundreds of meetings about the park. Everybody can have an opinion if you like it or you don't like it, or if you want it in your yard or not. The premise of the whole thing is it came from the public. We had public input on the whole thing, up to the naming of the comments. So it to me is not a project of the council. It wasn't our project. It was a community project. It was community-led from the grassroots of the town halls that we had that made the 5 pillars for the Vision 2020. And there was a very small majority of the general fund that was spent on that. Grant money and prize money was spent on the majority of the park.
Thank you. All right, so I think we can all agree Main Street Commons wasn't exactly what we all thought and hoped it would be. Okay, so I'm not going to spend much time talking about that because there was a second part to that question, which is how does it fit into the overall downtown strategy? And really, we live in my opinion, the most beautiful city in the United States of America. And we have a beautiful downtown area. Whether or not we like the park, it's there. Let's plan ahead and use that downtown area and make it more beautiful than it is. And I heard a reference earlier from somebody that said they've never skinned the trees. I can tell you as Vice President of Downtown Havasu, Assistant City Manager was at our meeting, and the city needs to partner with organizations like this and business owners. They plan to skin the trees. I drove past the other day, the trees were getting skinned today. It's things like that for the future of our downtown that need to continue to happen. Thank you.
Michelle?
So I do think it is important as an incumbent that I was a no on every aspect of this project at the Commons, from the purchase of it, to the design, to any of everything all of it. If you ask what the city needs to do, nothing, no more. No more money, not one single penny should be put in with city taxpayer money on that park unless it's some maintenance on it. The second thing is open up the bathroom doors. Those businesses do not want people wandering into their businesses. It is a public bathroom. Open them up. That's what they need to be. As any other of the businesses, if they want to throw money at it, go for it. But for the city, no more.
Skip ahead. This will be our last question of the night. We're going to start with Terry Parcells. And Terry, you have 45 seconds. What specific goals would you want Lake Havasu City to achieve over the next 4 years? And how would you measure whether the council succeeded? Again, Terry Parcells, 45 seconds.
Okay, I would want to attract younger families, keep them here, and since this is the last question, I want everybody to know that I have a lifetime experience in the legal field protecting the rights of citizens, and that I'm a professional researcher. I have extensive knowledge with budgets, taxes, inventory, payroll, policies, procedures, customer service problems. I will do a good job for you. And as far as the long-term growth, I want to really explore other ideas of getting money into our city. And that means in addition to tourism, I think we need to get some big ballparks. We need to invest in our parks. I'm all for that. I want to work respectfully with everybody towards solutions and keeping our city beautiful and happy. I love the city. I'm passionate about our city, and I'll work really hard for you. Thank you.
Okay, just like I said before, we need to bring the revenue here so we don't have to worry about property taxes. Bringing revenue into our city brings money back to our communities. Like I said, the first responders are my #1 goal. Not only am I professionally involved with them, but also I'm personally involved with my family. As a police officer, my daughter's a dispatcher, so I know what's going on behind the scenes. I know what's happening within our cities. If our cities aren't safe and we don't have the proper people running and protecting us, it doesn't matter how pretty the street is or how many houses are for sale or what's going on. We need to protect our citizens and keep our citizens safe. So my goal for the next 5 years is bringing the right revenue here so that we can pay our citizens and our hardworking employees here, our younger people here so they stay here, and we need to build the young families so they do not leave Lake Havasu. Thank you. Well, for Kimberly Simon.
Thank you, Kim Zander. Samson Romardo.
Thank you for this question. I was hoping this question would come along. What I would like to see is the proper structuring of the power administration in the city. any place else, the way this was when I was on council, and really was on council, and other people were on council, is the people who are responsible to you, the voters and the taxpayers, give us, the city council, and the elected officials, and the elected officials is the important part. The elected officials, the direction they want the city to go. And the way it is right now, the city manager tells some members of the city council what to do, and that's the way it ends up being handled. It's not handled the way it should be handled. So I'd like to see a severe restructuring of the administration.
Thank you. So, first priority and the most exciting right now is to get through the finish line with fire station number 7, and we'll be doing our groundbreaking, so it's very exciting, and that's easily measured. So that is the priority number 1. Number 2 is our second bridge. We have the funding. We have all of the processes in place. So hopefully in the first quarter of next year, we'll see some dirt being moved, and we'll not keep talking about a second bridge. We'll start seeing a second bridge be done. And then third is the parks plan that we went out for the study, so that we can get some accurate information about what we can do moving forward for the youth, get some state-of-the-art ball fields, do some things that we've been talking about, and hopefully this plan will help us get grants to help us get this past the finish line as well. Thank you.
Taylor Harrison.
All right, top of my list is water. We need to protect our water and work with all the other communities so Lake Havasu has a bigger voice than just the 60,000. We need to protect our water. Without it, there's not a lake. Second thing, shoreline access. The lake's super important to us. That's in the general plan that's proposed right now. We need to protect our shoreline access. The lake is what makes Havasu special. We should all have access to it. Third thing, strategic plan growth. Okay? We need to grow in a manner that makes sense for our community. Now, how do you do those things? You need to have council candidates and members of council who are actively in the rooms learning. With me, you've got somebody that goes to the rooms. I was in a Go Lake Havasu board meeting this morning where they voted on their budget for the coming year. I go to the downtown Havasu meetings. I go to all of these meetings to be informed to represent our city best. Please vote Taylor Harrison.
I'm going to use a word my first graders like, catch up. We need to catch up on our roads and infrastructure underneath it. I don't know how many of you are tired of riding down our streets and seeing these water pipes that are busting. We cannot just pave over our roads. We need to fix the infrastructure underneath, or we're not going to get to our parks. We're not going to get to any of our, on the island, we're not going to get to anything until we fix those roads. I know that we have a current council member, Nancy Campbell, that has worked tirelessly with state, with federal, on getting those funds, and I think we can relook at where we can find those. Again, we need to put our priorities, which are our roads, which is our public safety, and which is our, our zoning areas. We need to take care of those things. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again real quick? Sure. What specific goals would you want Lake Havasu City to achieve over the next 4 years? And how would you measure whether the council succeeded?
Okay, so first I'd like to bring PED and Go Lake Havasu, the Tourism Bureau, in-house. I feel like they've just kind of dropped the ball for far too long. Bullhead and Kingman is outperforming us by a long shot. All right, we need that in-house because I want to bring more industry to this town. I feel like, there's a guy with a jet boat page and an iPhone that can outperform what Go Lake Havasu is doing. It's $1.6 million a year. Just like Dave said, let's bring in airfare. We need air service. That's how we're going to get CEOs and companies to come here. So there's a lot, and we need to focus on our youth. I had to move away when I was a kid. I don't want my kids to move away. We need to make sure we're paying attention to our youth and create an opportunity and plenty of opportunities for them. So vote for Neil Tinsley. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And that's our last question for the city council candidates. And folks, give them all a big round of applause. We're going to go ahead and take our next break, our third break. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. You're listening to the Primary Candidates Forum on KNTR Talk.
You can use mine if you need to. Okay, do you have access to it? Okay, I'll check with him and see.
I can guarantee you this phone is probably just about as good as yours.
Okay.